All right, winners, this is a fun one with Megan. She's going to give us ego while annoying the interviewer and competing with her. Let's check it out.
About a cause, that's near and dear to her heart. Welcome, Meghan Markle.
Hi, thank you.
We're so excited to have you here for a BT First.
Yes.
So thank you for gracing us with your presence.
All right, look at that right there. I'm assuming there was already a little bit of tension between them. The hostess is stumbling on her words. Megan, when she says, "Oh, thank you," sounds a little bit sarcastic to me. And finally, the hostess says, "Thank you for gracing us with your presence," which no one really says that being fully serious. So I assume Megan, as usual, as we've seen many times, likely was rude to this woman before they even got on camera.
Oh my goodness, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the Dove Self-Esteem Project. You were here speaking to a group of people last night, especially young people. Mm-hmm. What is it that you have to say that they should really listen to?
You know, when Dove reached out to me, it was so, as I was saying to you, it's just so easy for me to jump on board with this because their whole campaign right now for self-esteem is inspiring confidence in young women. And I think it's timely right now, the conversation of feminism and women feeling empowered, but to plant those seeds starting really young. And so
blah, 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 blah. Okay, first thing, when Dove reached out to me, now Megan is just the most in-demand woman in the universe. The UN is begging to get her. Dove is getting to get her. No one can do anything without Megan. She's so in demand. And then after that, she's just blah, 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 basically talking about nothing. Also, her answer has nothing to do with the question. She just wants us to know that Dove reached out to her, and then she qualifies her statement. As we were talking about earlier, I believe she does that to sound smart, but that's a bad speaking habit because you're using useless words. She's using useless words. It's just more time talking, which she enjoys, but no information is conveyed. Bad speaking habit, but good for her ego.
You know, last night we had a workshop talking to not just young women, but also to mentors, teachers, people that are going to be able to like cast this messaging with a wider net, so that young girls can really maximize their potential. And yeah, it feels organic and right and good, and I'm just proud to be a part of it.
And when you see the reaction that you
look at the elation on her face, like it's like crazed, like I could look at that. She's elated to be in front of the crowd. Also, it's annoying. She's co-opted so many words and ruined them. The word organic used to be a nice word. Healthy food. Megan just tosses that word around, makes it completely meaningless. But I literally feel she's panting in these photos. She loves it.
From these people that are coming up to you after you speak to them, how does that make you feel? What kind of reaction were you getting?
I mean, talk about a self-esteem boost, right? It's just so nice because, you know, I understand that now people know me from Suits, but that is not what my whole life for the past 34 years has not been that. There's been struggles and challenges and my own battles with self-esteem. So to be able to look at my life full circle and say, not only have I been able to achieve something that I never thought would have been possible, that with this platform now I am able to really inspire people to know that they can do that too is the most humbling. It really is.
I mean,
it's so humbling. I mean, that I inspire everybody, that I am just on the biggest platform and everyone looks up to me. I mean, there's nothing more humbling than how humble I am to know that I am the ultimate inspiration, and so great.
Interesting, because we can look at you and think, what? Self-esteem issues? What are you talking about?
Come on!
So when did your seed get planted in terms of knowing that this was...
I feel like the interviewer is a little annoyed with Megan and is just pointing little things out like, "Oh, thanks for gracing us with your presence. You self-esteem issues?" Because we can all see it, her massive ego. And look at Megan's face. Look at her response, right? She's just got a massive ego, and I'm sure this woman's picked up on it.
It's a very important thing that you need to embrace your uniqueness.
Yes.
And, you know, create your own box.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my, how sweet is that? You've been reading the TIG.
That's right.
That's so annoying and patronizing. It's not like, "Oh, you've been reading my thing," like, or, "Oh, thanks for reading it." She's like, "You've been reading the TIG." Very patronizing, very rude in my estimation.
So, you know, I think for me it's been a learning curve, and obviously I've talked a little bit about like experiences I had as a child when I was 11, seeing a commercial that I thought felt sexist and doing something to change.
Shut up, Megan. We don't care. How many times are you going to talk about this? It's every single interview, every second. That's your glory days, is when you were 11 years old. But again, I think Megan's just very ingenuous. Thank you. One of you pointed that word out to me a long time ago. Very ingenuous, and she's got her talking points. She has her brand that she wants to push forward. So I think that's why we hear the same stories again and again. Again, every time you pause it, Megan looks angry. Tons of jaw tension.
That and having the support of my parents and also people around me. I think when we talked about this, touched on it too, like being biracial, or for me, like having a sense of self that sometimes felt a little displaced. And so as opposed to turtling with that, to say, what can I do about this so I can find a place where I fit in, so I can find or shape the world around me, so that even if I am not exactly able to check one specific box, that I can make my own box, right?
You know, I think that's how Megan actually does see the world, like boxes, brands, right? Like, you know, she's saying make my own box rather than just being a person. So I think that gives us a little insight about Megan in terms of her obsession with branding, with PR, with using the same words, with being totally ingenuine. It just goes along with the way she sees the world. Like, what are you, not just living?
And that's also led you to become a women's advocate for the UN for political participation and leadership.
Yes.
Congratulations. That is a huge thing.
I know.
Was that something that you'd always kind of dreamt of, or?
I mean, in my wildest dreams, I never thought that would actually come to fruition. And when UN Women reached out to me last year from an article that I had written on the
really?
TIG,
They reached out to you again from an article on the TIG. Wow, the TIG is just the best blog there's ever been. You know, Megan, I'm surprised that there's any other articles that have ever been written that you didn't put out every single paper out of business.
On the TIG, actually. Which is my website for people who are like, what's the TIG? When they had reached out.
I like the plug there, smart business woman.
Yeah, right, exactly. Thank you. When they had reached out to me about it, I really was able to now.
Hopefully you caught that. The interviewer is like, this again. She's like exasperated.
Maximize that opportunity. I asked them if I could go and intern at the UN headquarters, and they said, well, I don't think anyone's ever really asked us that. But they were able to get me the clearance, and I did. And,
amazing.
And yeah, just.
Which is it, Megan? Did you get reached out to, or did you ask to be an intern? Again, logic doesn't matter. We've seen this with Megan. She'll say things that are completely violated by video evidence and by first-hand accounts, but she doesn't care, right? So she's willing to say things that are impossible. It's impossible that they reached out to you, but also you reached out to them. But to her, it doesn't matter, because she wants to be both massively in demand and desired and a hustler who did everything on her own. So the facts, as we've seen with her, do not matter.
Talk about a game changer. It's been pretty spectacular this past year.
So what is the one message that you really want young women?
I hope you caught that expression. Megan's like snake about to swallow a mouse.
And women in general to just, you know, really focus on as they navigate through life.
Yeah, I think there are a couple things, you know, for me, and I remind myself and my friends of that as well, is that we just need to be kinder to ourselves. Truly, you know, if we treated ourselves.
Please be ready for this. This is the key moment.
We do our best friend.
Yeah,
Can you
or our
imagine?
dogs.
Yeah, or our dogs. Can you, for you and I?
I wonder if this woman do it. So imagine if Megan or anyone treated themselves the way Megan treats her best friend or her dogs. Her best friend's stepping stones, which get thrown away as soon as she get a more famous friend, or more importantly, her dog Bogart, who was a rescue, not adopted. Megan makes sure she says rescued, and then left by Megan in Canada after he'd served his purpose and likely traumatized. So that is how Megan treats her best friend and her dogs, and that shows again Megan just empty vessel, repeating what she's heard other people say, what sounds good.
Actually, like, can you imagine how much better off we would be to just say, can sometimes be so judgmental and unkind, and so I think I would never treat my best friend that way. So to treat yourself like you're your own best friend, and to also just like,
oh, she has no problem with that. She's her own best friend, 100%.
Try to find a space inside of you that it reminds yourself that yes, you can have questions of self-doubt, and that's going to come up, that's human, but at the end of the day,
a space in yourself that reminds yourself.
You are enough exactly as you are, I think is really important to remind ourselves of.
That is a very important message. Thank you so much, Meghan Markle.
Okay, can't wait to get out of there. Thanks, winners, for watching.